there we go. I talked to Love Cedars done on the inside. So I just wanted to show you one more thing for the clips for the cushion. I have this clip already in, but when you put your clips in, you want to cut a hole, believe it or not, in the fabric from the outside, and then run this through. Run the clip through. Sometimes it's easier running the clip from the back. Running the clip from the back up. So I got it running through here. It's an elastic clip. And I'm going to staple it. Make sure you get both sides stapled. Right now I only see one side. So. Okay, and I'm going to staple both ends down to the wood rail here. Easier said than done sometimes. Be a little generous on your staples to hold this down, because once it's in there, it's in there. So now I have the elastic clip running, okay? Okay, so we're on the outside back now. I just wanted to review or preview some of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be putting ply grip. That's the first thing you're going to do, is ply grip the entire back. Now we're going to be putting a stitch on that outside arm to our outside back. We're not making 3 individual panels, and the reason we're not doing that is because our skirt wants to flow freely from the outside. If you do 3 different sections, it indents, and you don't want that. We want a cleaner look. So as I said previously, outside backs and outside arms are often kind of like an afterthought. Don't do that. I think you should put really good effort on the outsides, and you're going to see. So what I'm going to do is apply grip. We're going to do some webbing. We're going to put a stretch of fabric, and we're going to put the cotton over that, and then our fabric. So there's a lot to this. Okay, so let's get moving. So I'm putting my ply grip on. My ply grip is going to run right on my staple line, a little bit over my staple line from the inside back. So I'm just going to kind of neaten up here a little bit before I get there. So I'm going to go move right along and try to get this as straight as you can. And I say I have a problem here that I see, so I'm going to get a couple of more staples in there to get a better, like, smoother transition. So you want it to try to be as straight as you can with this ply grip. Now the alternative to ply grip, for all you people who want to learn how to hand stitch, we do have, I believe we have a YouTube video on hand stitching. That's what you'd have to do if you didn't use the ply grip. And if you were hand stitching this, you would do that probably one of the last steps. So, whereas we're doing the ply grip the first step, so that's a big difference too. So we'll explain that as we go along with our other YouTube videos. Maybe we'll show you if we don't have one. I can't recall if we have one, but if we do, you can reference it or reference it somewhere else. So we're just gonna go right along here. I just want to show you one thing before we move on to the rest of this. What I do is I try to straighten it out, or when I say straighten, I mean go with the curve here. We're going with the curve of the inside back. When you have a straightaway, you want to be straight, but what I mean is just as neat as you can with this transition line. You want to put the ply grip on. So what I do is I usually staple a little bit and then go about 6 or 7 inches and then 6 or 7 inches up, and then I go back and I fill in. So what we're doing here is we're shooting in our prong of our staple. Originally, ply grip was made for 6-ounce tacks or 12-ounce tacks, but we went to the staple gun. So what you need to do is set the head of the staple gun 1 staple into the hole and 1 staple outside of the hole. That's what I'm doing. And then I'm going back. It's really important to make sure this ply grip is firm. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to halfway close this right along here. Watch this. And be careful when you do this, because if you flip back like that one, right at the moment I was telling you, you can get cut. This is sharp. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be halfway right here, and then eventually our fabric's going to tuck in there, and then we're going to hammer it in. Okay, so just around this curve, we're just going to go right around the curve. Try to go around the curves as gently as you can, meaning you don't want too many sharp. You really can't do a sharp curve on the ply grip. We're not going to show you that because we don't have that on this particular piece, but if this was a 45-degree angle, you'd be coming up this way, cut it, and then another one this way. You'd have 2 separate pieces, okay? So what I'm going to do is just going to close around the curve and then So we're going to be starting to dress up the outside back, and I want you to use BFM seat webbing, not the black back webbing for anything. Don't use that. I mean, it's not a good quality, and it sags. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to sculpt the outside back so that when somebody hits it or when it's moved, it doesn't cave in. I'm sure all of you have seen chairs. I had a couple of really high-end chairs in here the other day, and the outside backs were caved in. So this is going to prevent that. It's just the first step. And it's especially used right around the curves. So let's get going. Essentially from this point to this point is a curve, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to put at least a piece of webbing here, and I'm going to see how it works. You know, I don't want to fold this, not fold this webbing. Usually on seats we fold it. We're not going to fold it now. And you don't need your webbing stretcher. You're going to hand stretch it down, pull it towards the bottom, and then get a row of staples up here. So that's a nice tight, really tightens it up when you have the bottom layer, the bottom row of staples and then the top row of staples. That's what tightens it. That's really nice. So I'm going to put one, I think we're only going to need two. So let's just see. Two around each curve, and two more on the other side. Let's just put this in. Now without these, what happens, no matter what you use, you know, manufacturers use a lot of nylon. They think nylon is really strong, which it is. Unfortunately, it's not resilient. It doesn't bounce back. Once it caves in, it's done. You're better off using something that's natural for that, so it has a natural, you know, tendency to come back. Okay, so I'll show you. I'll demonstrate. Let's just stretch this down. Yeah, I'm going to cut this. I'm gonna look. Isn't that nice? Okay, so now I have a scrap piece of fabric, clean scrap piece of fabric left over. I'm going to use this for my outside stretcher. These are called stretchers. I'm going to do the outside back first. I'm not doing the whole thing. And I'm working right from the, I'm not cutting this, but if you want to cut the stretchers the same size you cut the outside back and the outside arms, that might help people to be a little bit more organized. With me, I just start stapling this because it doesn't have to be super neat. So I'm going to start right here, right where the wood rail is that goes down, framework. And I'm just going to staple this right along. I'm not folding it, stapling it underneath the ply grip. Underneath the ply grip. Get it here, and then what I'm going to do, it's a stretcher, so the name is a stretcher, so what I'm going to do is stretch it down. Stretch and staple. Stretch and staple. We're going to trim this. Side up. Like this. It really is starting to look good. Take shape on the back. The webbing is supporting here. Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to fit our outside arms for the seam that has to go here. With that angle cut it, so I'm just going to show it to you. What we're going to do is get this cut angle. We're going to pin it on. We're going to chalk it, get it cut, and then put the other outside arm face to face and cut the other arm. So let's just start. The reason you do this is because if you made this one piece, by the time you get to the front of the arm, it would be a crooked stripe, and that goes for almost any fabric you're using. You need to seam it somewhere on the back. But we're trying to do it as clean as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up make sure I have enough fabric that my ply grip is going to. I'm going to be able to close up my ply grip. Okay, and I'm going to pin one pin here, and I'm going to get another pin. I'm going to go with my wood rail. I'm going to go at the outside edge of the wood rail. So let's just get this. And then we're going to pin. If you want to use 6-ounce tacks to do this, you can. Sometimes you can do it with your staple gun if you're careful. I'm just going to kind of put a half of a staple, I turn in my staple gun just to kind of get the staple halfway in there. And I'm going to look to see, I love it, it's really straight up. Now I'm going to take my chalk and I'm going to chalk to the outside edge of that wood post, and I can feel it. You see that? Look at this. And go all the way down. Beautiful. That's my angle. Okay, now I'm going to take this off, get my side cutters, take my staples that I put in there halfway or sideways, take those out carefully. Take the pins out, and then we're going to go to the, I'm going to cut this on the table. Again, I have my outside arms top, right? And that's how I put it on the piece when I pinned it. This is my chalk line to the outer side of that post. I'm going to cut a half of an inch. I'm going to use my eye to do this. Don't be afraid to do that. You're going to get used to your half-inch seam. Okay, now I have essentially what I have is the right outside arm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my left outside arm underneath this. I'm going to put these face to face, and I will have my angle for the other side. I'm going to cut that. Okay, we're all set now for the outside arms. So let's just roll these up and put them aside now. Let's do the back. So here's our outside back on the top. I'm going to fold this, and I'm going to get a little notch, excuse me. I'm going to get a little notch to indicate the center of the fabric. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up to the center seam, or the center pleat that I have. I'm going to get a pin in there. And then I'm going to bring my fabric to the point where we were at with the outside arm. And I'm going to pin that. Pin that. Just check out, I don't have to pin the whole thing, you'll see why in a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this down, make sure this is straight. Put a pin in there, pin staple in there. Now, I see a little kinking going on here, and this is exactly why we're doing this, why we're making our angled cuts and sewing this as 3 different pieces, because this is the problem you would have if you didn't take the time to do this. If you cut a whole piece. So I'm pinning this up a little bit better, and then I'm drawing this down, getting a better tight tension on that. Let's just take a look now. Okay, I'm happy with that. I mean, you guys could pin it as much as you want at home. And I'm ready. I feel as though I'm ready to do my angle here, which is to the outside of that post, right? Outside of that post all the way up. There's my angle cut there. Let me take my side cutters. I think this is going pretty well. I think the fabric is great. Take these out, take the pins out, and go over to the table. Okay, so we're going to cut half of an inch from the chalk line, half of an inch to the right of that chalk line. You're going to be sewing this, so that's why I need the half of an inch. Okay, so I got the right side cut. I have a notch. I have the notch in here, so all I have to do is slip the fabrics like so. Now, honestly, if these were bold stripes or stripes that really needed to be scented a little bit more, you would be going a little, taking a little bit more care and centering up your middle stripe and making sure that when you cut this, the stripe looks the same left and right. Okay, so now we have this. So let's just put this over here. Let's take our arm that we cut. Okay. And what we're going to do is sew this together. we're ready to put the batting on. So what I do is I save the old batting, and most of my clients love the idea, unless there's a problem with cat damage or a smell and odor, smoke damage or whatever. A lot of my clients, most of them I would say, really like the idea that I'm recycling as much as I can. And if you have something that's clean and your client says it's okay, I mean, it takes more time for me to take all the staples out of this than it does to purchase another roll of cotton to just use the new cotton. But I'd rather recycle. I think most upholsterers would agree with me that we're the master recyclers, best recyclers out there. So let's get moving on putting the cotton in. So I'm going to just start at the side, and I'm going to be right up. I'm going to try to staple this close to the ply grip, almost where the stretcher was. And when it's come around in a minute, I'll show you. I managed to take this off in one piece, which was good. And remember, this has a skirt, so that you don't want your batting to come all the way down over the skirt. And there might be little gaps in this, and I'm going to have to fill in, but that's okay. And depending on your fabric too, if you have really lightweight fabric, you might not be able to reuse cotton because you'd be able to see the transitions, and I'm going to have to put in this to fill in the gaps on a lighter weight fabric. This is going to work out great though. I'm going to come all the way around. We've put on 1, 2, 3 items more than what even a really high-end manufacturer would do. Sometimes they just put the fabric on, that's it. I mean, so we're really, like I said before, we're really taking the time to do this right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down like so, just to work this out a little bit. Neaten it again. I'm going to neaten it up. We want good coverage. We want the whole thing covered. See how nice that works? I'm going to go back and trim it in a minute. I'll show you how to do that. Even more with my fingers. I'm going to trim it with my fingers. Not with the scissors. And another point is for all you people who want to do this for a living, and I would encourage you. I think it's a great trade to be in. You present a labor estimate for your client, one to restore it, meaning to take it down to the frame, which is obviously more money, and the other one to reupholster it, which is still time intensive, labor intensive, but not as expensive as the restoration. So now I'm going to show you how to trim. We want to make sure that I'm actually filling this for anything else that's in there, like a staple that I didn't pick out. Okay, this is a little bit too far out, so I'm trimming this up, using one hand as a guide and picking and trimming with the other hand. I like the way this transitions, but I'm going to, when I want to just, see, I'm just checking it out. I'm giving it the old hand check. Okay, and we have our cover sewn, our outside arms to our outside back. I put my notch, I'm lining my notch up that we had created earlier. I'm going to pin that right to the cover. Okay, and I'm going to draw it to the side. And I'm going to make sure I'm going to try to be straight up with my stripe. I'm going to go all the way to the end to get another pin. This first pinning doesn't have to be perfect, nor will it. Somebody once said, why don't you just start stapling and get done with it? Well, then you'd have a sloppy slip cover. Upholsterers are all about tight, custom, sleek, high quality work. That's what we do. Okay, so I'm going to pull over here. And I'm going to add a couple more pins, like one at the seam on each side. That should do it. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pins just to start. Okay, now I'm just going to take a gander and look at, this one's a little bit, this one can go up a little bit here. Okay, that's nice and straight. Now I'm going to pin. So again, you can pin tack with 6-ounce tacks, or you can pin staple, which is just very carefully, just turning the head of your gun so that the staple doesn't go all the way in. And I'm just giving it a light pull down, the staple. See how already it's tightening? So I'm going to go all the way around here. I'm going to make sure my one part of my, I'm going to split my seam to make sure that, in other words, both salvage on both sides of the seam. Okay. Got a little pull there. Okay. This side. Oh, we're going to just go in here and just taking this. You know, you can iron these out too if you want. You can, instead of doing it by hand like I'm doing, I'm letting the salvage go one salvage one way and the other salvage the other way, instead of having one salvage on one side of the seam. Okay, so now I'm going to repin. I'm going to repin it to the top tighter. That one's tight. See how I can get this out? Look at this, watch this, see that? Get another pin there. Pull it up. I think we're going to add a pin. You can start adding pins at this point just to get it tighter. Okay. Pretty happy with that. Let me just do the other side. It's tight. This one almost was perfect the first time. Okay, so now we're ready for the next step. Always starting in the middle and working out. The middle and working out both sides. Okay, you don't want to go all the way this way or the other way. What you want to do, I'm going to go about 3 feet this way and 3 feet this way. Normally that's the best way to do it. So now you need a regulator. You need a regulator and you need your scissors. And you also need, some people like to chalk it, and you're welcome to chalk this. So I usually do this by, I freehand this, but for all you beginners, you might want to chalk it. And what I'm right at the edge of the ply grip. So I'm going to start cutting this way. What you want to be, depending on the fabric, but this fabric, I want to be about 1/2 inch from the top of the ply grip, okay? If you leave too much, it's going to peek through. If you're short, that's worse. So what I'm going to do is tuck that into the prongs. It should catch. It's not catching very well. There we go. Sometimes you need to coax it a little bit. And then with my thumb, I'm pushing it in for now. And I'm going to hammer this in a minute, but it definitely gets hammered. Okay, let's just go like this. Okay, see that? Notice how I'm working from the middle out, and then this way I'm working this way. You don't want to work this way because you'll possibly end up with a little bit of a pull. So, and I'm pushing it in with my thumb the rest of the way. So after you get the whole thing done and you're happy that it all looks like this, then go back with your mallet and give it a good hammering down, because that's what locks the prongs onto the fabric, and then you've got a great finished product. Okay, so now what you want to do is remove those pin staples that you have, or pin tacks. Make sure you get them all. Up this way. And this one. And now we're going to staple this to the bottom, but now we have a cut here we need to make. So because we're having a skirt, we don't need to be super careful, but actually this is good practice for you beginners. If it wasn't having a skirt, you really have to be careful here. So let's pretend it isn't having a skirt for a minute. I'm going to go to the center of the post. And when I get about 1 inch away from the top, I'm going to veer off, make a slight cut that way, a slight angle cut this way, a slight angle cut this way. So you end up with the V. And you're going to tuck that underneath there. Tuck the pleat, pull it a little bit to the left, just a little bit, and down. Very important to get it tight, right? And we're going to stretch this way, away and down, like that. And now we need to make sure that we're pulling this downward, okay? Get this nice and tight. get it stapled. You pull it and staple probably about every 2 inches. Okay, and I've got the other one cut. I'm going to cut this over here. Same way we cut the other one. Develop a little pleat. Tuck that up. Pull this way. Pull this way. Okay, the final step for the body of the sofa is the cambric. So we've cut it about 3 inches or 4 inches oversized. So what we're going to do is we're going to tack down. We can start somewhere. If all of you are a little nervous about upholstery, you can pin tack this first. You don't have to start with stapling. But I'm going to start with stapling. I'm just going to staple. I'm going to get a couple of staples. I'm going to fold it over and get a couple of staples. My cambric is recessed in about 1/2 inch. I'm going to get some of that in. And then I'm going to pull it to this end. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. A couple of staples. Pull it tight. This cambric that we use is really stretchy, so I like it. Really goes on nice. So I'm going to do the front, not all the way to the legs. What I'm going to do is I'm working around these metal straps. Stretch it, and we're going to staple it. And again, I'm off the edge a little bit. Turning the staple gun is okay. Sometimes it's actually advisable to do that because you have a lot of staples in there already, and a turn gun, a turn staple actually eliminates you from hitting other staples that are there already. Does that make sense? Okay, now on the back we have a center leg, so what I'm going to do is cut that similar to the way we cut our back. I'm going to go to the center of the post, and then we're going to make it cut like so. So when you're looking at it this way, it looks like a V. So I'm going to go around the back. I'm going to fold it against the leg here. I'm going to pull this pleat this way, fold it against the leg here. Try to get as much coverage as we can. Staple that. Then I'm going to come this way a little bit, pulling it from the front to the back and folding it at the same time. That's why some people like to pin tack this whole thing, and then make sure it looks really good for them, and then they just take a look and see we got that. Okay. And then they staple in between the pin tacks. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit this way, a little bit more. So what I'm doing is I'm tightening the whole thing up in order to get to the 4 legs on the. Now I'm going to cut the 4 legs. I'm going to do the front first. Cut this, we're going to fold this back. This gets just one cut because the point is facing this way. So this is just going to get cut like so. And then we're going to fold, neaten that up a little bit. Fold this, how nice and neat that will look. Do the other side. Just one cut. That's it. We have the front legs done. Now for the back legs, we're going to fold the cambric like so, and then we're going to go to the middle of the post and then make that V cut. Now I have to go to the back. Work there. I'm going to take this, neaten that up against the leg. Okay. And the other leg's just the same. Okay, so we've arrived to the point where the body is done, right down to the cambric. So the next steps are going to be the cushion and the skirt. So looking forward to that.